Bonifacio at Mabuhay Pilipinas. Sure kang updated sa mga kaganapan bago ka pa man lumabas sa lansangan. Mabuhay Pilipinas na!
Good morning! Wake up!
6:22 ng umaga. Ngayon pong umaga na ito, meron po tayong dalawang panauning pandangal ngayong umaga na ito. Live guest po natin ito. Siyempre, isang karangalan na naman na magkaroon tayo ng live guest. Siyempre, pag-usapan natin yung mga flood mitigations. Hindi dito muna sa Metro Manila ang pag-usapan natin. Hindi dito po sa lalawigan ng Cavite. Kung saan meron po tayong dalawang makakapanayam ngayong umaga na ito. Hinggil nga po sa mga isinasagawang flood mitigation projects dito po sa Cavite City. Sa Cavite, sa province of Cavite. At syempre, gusto rin natin malaman yung mga isinasagawa nilang structural measures, kung paano nila ma-prevent yung mga pagbaha, syempre, at yung mga design na ginagawa nila. So, ngayong umaga na ito, makakapanayam natin si Mr. Shuhuki Kaku, ang team leader po ng CIA FRMP, at syempre si Ma'am Mimi Estares, ang non-structural measures specialist po, Hinggil nga po dito sa mga flood mitigations na ating isinasagawa nga sa lalawigan ng Cavite. Ma'am, sir, good morning and welcome to Radyo Pilipinas. Magandang umaga po sa inyong dalawa.
Magandang umaga.
Alright. Pag-usapan natin, unang-una, Ma'am Mimi, ano po yung proyekto ng gobyerno na tumutugon sa mga paglutas ng pagbaha, syempre, at sa kaligtasan ng mga naninirahan sa tabing ilog sa Cavite, Ma'am Mimi?
Yung project, yun yung tinatawag namin ngayon na Cavite Industrial Area Flood Risk Management Project. Ito ay binubuo ng dalawang type ng measures para maibsan ang pagbaha sa Cavite. Yung i-discuss sa inyo ni Mr. Kaku, yun yung mga structural measures. Sa akin naman, yun yung non-structural measures.
So, sa inyo muna tayo, ma'am.
Okay.
So, what is the non-structural measures po dun sa flood mitigation projects natin?
Okay. I will define both. Structural measures we can easily understand. These are the engineering structures that we see, like dikes. In Cavite, we also, in the past project, we did retarding basins, mga diversion channels. Ang layunin nito ay para mapabilis yung daloy ng tubig baha sa ating bay o sa ating sea, sa coastal area. Ang non-structural measures, sa isang banda, ito yung complementary measures ng structural. Ito yung gumagamit ng knowledge, agreements, and practice para mabawasan, or it will reduce the vulnerability of the people and the assets to the impacts produced by the disaster. So, sabi ko nga, knowledge. So, malaking bahagi ito ng pag-mitigate ng flood. Kasama dito sa knowledge, ginagawa natin yung emergency management. Ito isang kasama dito yung organizational structure ng mga DRRM o Disaster Risk Management, kung sino yung tutugon sa pagbaha. Meron dito din matatagpuan natin yung mga forecasting, monitoring ng weather conditions, and of course communicating the warnings to the residents. Also, we have here evacuation, isang napakalaking mahalaga yan sa para maging ligtas yung mga residents pag nandyan o bago dumating yung baha. Also, we do flood mapping. Dito, gumagawa tayo ng napakasimpleng, very practical flood maps na maiintindihan ng mga residente kahit ng mga bata. Dito, ipinapakita yung based on a past flood event, like sa Cavite, yung nakaraang Typhoon Paeng noong October 2022.
Right.
So yung mga pilot barangays ng mga lugar katulad ng Bacoor, Kawit, Imus na kasama dito sa project, bukod sa Noveleta at saka General Trias, nagawa namin yun ng mapa kasama ang barangay mismo. na pinapakita doon kung nung nangyari yung Typhoon Paeng, kung gaano kataas yung baha, yung level ng baha sa iba-ibang places doon sa barangay. Tapos kasama doon, naka-plot din yung spot maps na tinatawag namin. Ito yung nagpapakita ng mga residential areas, commercial areas, yung mga landmark, mga structures, para makita mo kung ano yung dinanas nilang pagbaha.
Okay.
Oh.
So, dako naman tayo sa structural measures naman kay Sir
Sir
Kako. Sir Kako, good morning. Earlier, sinabi po ni Miss Mimi yung mga non-structural. How about the technologies that we'll be using in the flood mitigating measures or project in the industrial zones of Cavite, Mr. Kako?
Okay. Good morning. Regarding this so-called lowland area
Yeah.
in the Cavite, as Ms. Mimi already informed, we have Baco, Imus, Kawit, Rosario, Noveleta, and General Trias. So regarding this flood mitigate in this area, we have three measures basically because of there are three type of the flooding in this lowland area. First is of course water overflow from the river, and also there's not the inadequate drainage channel, and also since this lowland area, we have a high tide come from the sea. So now as a flood mitigate, we are only starting deal with this river overflow basically, including the drainage system to improve. So for this Cavite industrial area, including surrounding area, we are trying to propose one diversion channel. Mean that we are divert the water to the Manila Bay from the middle because of the area we are targeting. There are two major river, like west side, it's called Rio Grande River, and the east side is Iraina River. These two river just meet and going to to downstream. It's called San Juan River. So we just divert the water from this meeting point direct to the sea. It's about 2.6 kilometer away from the direct water to the sea, and also provide both river the river improvement, as we call the revetment, and improving the drainage channel. That's basically we are trying to ongoing now the project.
Right, Mr. Kako, no, since the physical construction is involved with this project, what is your timeline to finish the project since there are so many towns in Cavite that you will be covered?
Yes, especially this time we starting this project. Actually, this is the second project for the Cavite. So this time we are already starting the implementation stage from last year. Then our target is about 2027 to be complete.
So many years to finish that project. All right, sir. What is the scope of your project, and how does the partnership with the Philippines and Japan work in this project? Since this is the second project you told earlier, sir.
Yes, because since this study was this area, the study was happened due to the 2006. There's a typhoon Millennium come to this area. So based on a request to Philippine government to Japan, so we have a JICA study, Japan International Cooperation Agency, conducting a master plan and a feasibility study for this area. It's completed 2009. Then after that, still almost every other year, Cavite has a very big typhoon course. Then 2012, 2013, there's a big event come to this Cavite industrial area, around that area. So we revised the master plan 2017, and the first project was called the returning basin. We are targeting the Ims River and the Baco River. That was starting 2016. It's already complete last year, about first ever constructed in a returning base in the Philippines. It's very functional now at this moment. Even Typhoon Payan was there. It's already functional condition. Now we move to next river basin. It's called Sangfang River Basin. That's the one I'm doing now, and we are just cooperate with, of course, under DPWH, and including JICA, ODA loan, combined, of course, the GOP, Government of Philippine loan, to start in this project.
Alright, Miss Mimi, no, regarding naman, balik naman tayo sa non-structural measures. Siyempre, ma'am, since the project is started in or targeted in and around the Cavite River area, how will you handle, syempre ma'am, yung ating mga families and establishments na maapektuhan itong produkto na to? Kasi ma'am, alam nyo naman yung ating yung mga tatamaan ng naturang project, kailangan natin ma-resettle yung mga yan. So how will you handle on that matter?
Sa lahat ng project affected persons, may hinandang programa yung project para matugunan yung pangangailangan nila. Meron resettlement na nangangahulugan hindi lang relocation, kung hindi merong replacement cost sa mga mawawala nilang mga assets, like yung mga private lot owners, yung mga may private structures, yung mga bahay, may replacement cost yun. Yun namang magka-qualify sa relocation, meron nang nakahanda o hinahandang relocation area para sa kanila sa iba't iba. Tapos, meron ding programa pang restore ng kanilang kabuhayan kung sakasakaling maililipat sila.
Alright, ma'am, kamusta naman yung kalagayan at epekto ng mga pagbaha dulot ng bagyo sa Cavite area? Kagaya ng nabanggit niyo, ma'am. Yung mga nabanggit niyo kasing lugar na yun, nadadaanan ko yun at malapit sa dagat yun, ma'am. At meron pa doon, isang, yung nabanggit yung lugar na yun, merong expressway. Yung tinatawag na nating Cavitex.
Cavitex,
Oo. Syempre, naiipon yung mga tubig doon sa may part na yun. Correct me if I'm wrong, dahil lagi akong dumadaan sa expressway na yun, misa pag nagbumotor ako. So, yun nga ma'am, ano po yung mga ginagawa nating hakbang upang syempre yung ating mga kababayan doon ay maging aware sa mga pagbaha dulot ng mga bagyo? Ano po yung mga ginagawa niyong measures doon, mitigating measures?
Aside from the structural measures, yun nga, papalaparin yung ilog para mapabilis yung pagdaloy ng tubig baha sa sea or sa coastal area. Meron tayo, yung non-structural measures, yun na yung nauuna. Kasi nabanggit mo nga kanina, matagal magawa itong mga retarding basin, it will take years. So ngayon pa lang, since last year, nung nagsimula yung construction, nagsimula na yung non-structural measures. Lahat ng designs, programs, talagang nakikipagtulungan kami sa LGU at sa mga residente mismo. Talagang community-based para maintindihan ng mga tao kung ano yung project, kung ano yung maitutulong sa kanila. Yung may malawak kaming information education campaign and publicity para sa mga residente. Aside from this, meron din mga flood drills na sinasagawa yung project para alam ng mga tao sa ating mga barangays kung paano magre-respond kung may paparating na bagyo na may kasamang pagbaha. Yung nasabi kong IEC, hindi lang sa mga residente sa barangay, pati barangay officials, katulong ng GOST Pag-asa at OCD, pumupunta rin kami sa eskwelahan para maggawa ng IEC para sa mga bata. Tinuturo sa kanila yung basic concepts, ano yung ibig sabihin ng tropical cyclone, anong ibig sabihin ng mga extreme rainfall, anong ibig sabihin ng baha, para ma-harmonize yung understanding natin sa tinatawag nating hydromet hazards, para naiintindihan ng lubos pag eto na yung warning, yung mga typhoon signals. Mismong mga eksperto ng Pag-asa ang iniimbitahan namin para mapaliwanag sa mga bata at sa mga residente sa barangay. Bukod pa sa mga pinapamigay na information materials, mga posters para sa barangay, mga pinapakita din namin doon yung mga flood maps para talagang maintindihan ng lubusan ng mga tao.
Right. having said that, ma'am, no, gusto ko naman malaman how the community does react on that your engagements to them. Ano, syempre, hindi naman lingid sa ating kaalaman, alam nyo naman, no, hindi ko naman nilalahat, no, yung iba nating mga kababayan, pag kami mga project na ganito, akala nila itinataboy sila, inaalis sila. So, paano po tayo nag-engage sa ating community na this is not for us, it's
Yes.
for your group, no, para sa inyong komunidad to, upang hindi na kayo bahain. Paano ma'am yung mga ginagawa ng measures?
Nag-uumpis talaga yung project kasi 3 stages to. Merong master plan and feasibility study. Pangalawa yung detailed engineering design. Tapos yun ngayon, yung construction supervision. Magmula pa lang master plan, talagang bumababa na kami sa komunidad para explain at para maging isa sa kanila sa pagtugon sa pagbaha. Isang mahirap na example dyan, napakahirap magpa-evacuate ng mga tao.
That's right.
Yan, napakahirap yan. Although we really empathize and understand their condition kasi tas inalam namin kung ano yung sanhi ng kanilang parang reluctance sa pagpunta sa evacuation. So, naintindihan namin na a lot of that reluctance stems from yung concern nila sa security, yung iiwanan ng mga bahay nila, yung mga pinaghirapan nilang mga assets, tapos pupunta sa evacuation center na, tapos yung coupled dun sa kanilang karanasan na medyo masikip, maraming tao, kaya humanap kami ng maraming paraan na ina-explain sa kanila na ang evacuation, hindi lang nangangahulugan na pagpunta sa evacuation center. Pero maaga pa, bago pa magbagyo, may mga alternatives na like pupunta tayo sa bahay ng ating mga magulang, kaibigan, parang area na alam natin, ina-identify na bago pa magsimula, during the start of the project, yung mga hazard areas at saka yung mga safe zones, yung mga safe areas na pwede nating puntahan. Hindi lang tao, pati yung mga farming communities, pati animal shelters, pinaplano rin yan.
Okay. Mr. Kako, no, on your technical, on the engineering side and the construction side, what are the challenges in Cavite area, especially those municipalities there is a soft land. Malambot yung lupa, no? So what are the challenges are you encountering in this project, Mr. Kako?
So, since this kind of big project, of course we need very much support by the local government, especially LGU, and now we also have a provincial government.
Yes.
It's very much involved. We have a regular meeting every quarter. We have a meeting, all the including governor and all the involved mayor. So we want to just let understand we come here to just try to saving the people from that flooding. So first of all, we want to them our purpose, and as we are that's why until our structure is completed, we need non-structural measure to support, and I think it must be this. This kind of work cannot be so fast, but we can saving for the next generation. That's what I was trying to explain, and maybe all the LGU to be cooperate with us. I think that's very important because this area very much rapidly population is increasing, especially this lowland area last couple of years because it's so close from the Metro Manila and very much developing now, which means urbanized. So even as urbanized means it's more water coming concentrate. That's maybe easy to cause flooding. So that's the first one. And second one, I want to all the river should be maintain the easement.
Right.
Even though we try to make in the river bed, if people encroaching the inside the river, it doesn't make sense for me. So I'm just try to talk to agency and the local LGU, try to make a easement, maintain, so we can reduce the casualty for the damage by the flooding.
Right, because it's not a joke to build an easement because it's more funds to build that, and at the same time, kumbaga sa Tagalog po kailangan pangalagaan ito, no? Dahil hindi biro, unang-una yung pagpapatayo nito mga the easement project, and at the same time the maintaining of that project. So Ma'am Mimi, no, for that matter, ano po yung mga ginagawa naman, no, on the engineering side, ma'am, no, yung inyong ginagawa sa non-structural side, no, to maintain, no, yung pong paggawa ng mga structure na yan, paano naman yung ginagawa yung pakikipag-usap sa local government agency para, hoy, etong ginawa namin na to, dapat i-maintain na nyo, dapat i-monitor nyo para hindi na masira or para mas mapakinabangan pa ng mga susunod na generation, Miss Mimi.
Sabi mo nga, ano yung mga challenges, di ba? Isang malaking challenge para sa amin ay yung magkaroon ng sustainability o continuity itong mga projects na to. Ito, ginagawa namin sa pamamagitan ng mga programa na ma-institutionalize o ma-establish para hindi pagkatapos ng project tapos ng lahat. Kundi, ita-turn over yan sa LGU at magtuloy-tuloy. Kaya ginagawa namin lahat ng konsultasyon, pati updating ng mga progress ng project para lubos na maintindihan ng mga tao kung ano yung project para ma-develop yung kanilang sense of ownership. Kasi pag tinuring nilang pag-aari nila yung mga structures, kahit yung mga programs sa non-structural measures, mas malaki yung chance na ma-continue ito. Kasi 'di ba, when we develop the sense of ownership, it's second nature that we protect this. Yung mga kaya meron after the turnover of the project, nagtutuloy yung tinatawag naming operations and maintenance. Yun na-turnover sa LGU, katulad nung nakaraan naming project na sa una yung ano naman yon, flood risk mitigation project for kasama doon yung Cagayan, as in Cagayan Valley, Tagoloan sa Misamis Oriental, at ang Imus nga, sa Imus River, yung minention kanina. Kaya ngayon, ongoing yung operations and maintenance nung mga structures na nagawa noon. At patuloy nga na, kaya merong mga programs, may manuals, may mga training kung paano ino-operate yung nagawa sa Imus. Ang structural measure kasi doon, retarding basin. So, dalawang retarding basin. So, paano siya nagagamit, paano siya i-operate, paano siya i-maintain para hindi masira yung structure at hindi masayang yung paggawa noon at yung mga ginastos para doon.
Siyempre, Ma'am Mimi, dahil yung structure ng mga itinatayo natin is coming from Japan. At si Sir Kako, ang isa sa mga team leader ng naturang construction, talagang para sa akin napakahalaga at dapat talagang ma-maintain. Ito naman, ma'am, isa pang katanungan, ma'am, no. So after natin magawad yung project, tapos yung project, gawad natin yung project, meron pa ba tayong mga ginagawang assistance sa mga communities to educate them, no? Bukod nga dun sa pagte-training niya sa kanila, to educate them para sa mga pagbaha or malalakas na pag-ulan, yung iba pang mga kailangan nilang ihanda, no? Bukod dun sa pag-ooperate ng mga inyong structure na isinagawa, Ma'am Mimi.
Actually, with these two projects, another one sa General Trias retarding basins, meron na rin silang dalawa na malapit na rin matapos. Sinasabayan talaga namin yun talaga ng massive IEC na talaga na-involve yung community para nga maintindihan at ma-develop nga yung sinasabing kong sense of ownership. So, we work with the LGUs. Meron silang DRRM office, may planning office, may engineering office. Pinagsasama natin lahat yan, aside from the local chief executives, para may programa sila na pag na-turnover na o natapos yung project, magtuloy-tuloy yung mga programa ng non-structural measures. Like, meron na kaming areas in Imus, Kawit, and Bacoor na talagang digitized na yung mga mapa nila ngayon. Of course, a large part of that is talagang pinursige ng mga LGUs. So, magagamit nila yung mga mapa na yun na tuwing may major flood event, nagagawa na nila yon. Nang sila, they're very self-sufficient already. Plus, of course, marami rin silang proyekto. Tuloy-tuloy lang yung, kasi nagbabago-bago yung information about the weather. Di ba, nakaka-receive tayo ng mga warnings. Paano naiintindihan yon? Paano yun nata-translate sa tao na maiintindihan din nila? Para mas maging, hindi lang awareness, it goes beyond awareness. Parang makokouple yun with actions. Na hindi, pag may tubig na, tsaka lang tayo lilikas. So yun, taon-taon, kasi meron din tinayo na sa Cavite na Flood Mitigation Committee. It's now chaired by the governor. So laging nagmi-meet yun. Ina-update yung progress ng lahat ng project sa Cavite na may kaugnayan sa pagbaha at kung ano yung mga responsibilities ng mga kasamang mga LGU para nga magtuloy-tuloy at hindi mapabayaan yung both structural at saka non-structural measures.
All right, Mr. Kakuno, when all of the projects or the flood mitigating projects in Cavite are finished, do you think the province of Cavite will be flood free with the terms on that this kind of projects, Mr. Kaku?
Yes. Actually, if you talk about design, because of the budget limited, of
Right.
course we have a targeting the design. Now this area we only targeting, as we said, 25-year return period, which means that the magnitude was happened coming millennium. So that's the scale we are targeting, and we also expand the design, but you cannot protect 100%. But since this weather changing and the magnitude of the flood, type is getting bigger and bigger, I cannot say 100, but we are trying to saving by the structure and limited by teaching the young generation, they can be saving their life. So that still, I think, contributed. It's not, yes.
All right, Sir Mr. Kako, any final message to our, especially in the constituents in Cavite, that these projects are getting finished on time, and also telling the Caviteños that not to worry with when the flood came?
Yes, sir. I think actually this is only second. We have another area called Canas River, but this one is not yet touched. And also regarding the Imus Bakor, also only returning basin was constructed. We still need some kind of river improvement, river channel, widening the river, but still that's ongoing. But I think if what I say is flood is coming from the high to low, so there's no political boundary. So we have to work together as a Cavite, all the LGU, the mayor, and the people have to work together, and we can save more, reduce the damage. I think that is what I want to say.
And Miss Mimi, ano po yung mga gagawin nyo pa po mga projects kasabay nung project nila Mr. Kako, no, on the non structural side, Ma'am Mimi?
What we've been doing since I think 2015, aside from yun nga, talking to the continuous consultations, meetings with the LGU, kasi nga napabago-bago nga yung nangyayari at yung panahon, as mas nagiging fierce yung mga flood. What we're really targeting, we're promoting this, it's flood safe more than flood free, because hindi talaga natin mapipigil because the sheer location, not only of Cavite but the whole country, we are really prone to flood, tropical cyclones, extreme rainfall, and we cannot stop this. So nasa ating mga tao kung paano natin haharapin para maging flood safe or ma-reduce yung vulnerability, hindi masaktan na yung mga tao, walang casualty, malesen yung injury. Nasa atin yun, and the important thing is to teach the young generation as early as yung children kung paano nga mag-respond pag may calamity tulad ng pagbaha.
Alright. With that, maraming salamat po Mr. Shuhuji Kaku, ang team leader po ng Cavite Industrial Area Flood Risk Management Project, and syempre po kay Miss Mimi Estaris, ang non-structural specialist po ng naturanding proyekto. Sir, kamsahamnida, good morning po.
Good
and
morning.
maraming salamat po sa oras na binigay niyo sa bayan.
Salamat ng marami din.
Alright, thank you!
Good news para sa ating mga senior